Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you know when live we go. Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified. In the next 35 minutes, I'll be taking you through today's newspaper and we will be discussing topics which are important for civil service examination. We will base our discussion on today's The Hindu Delhi edition, and the topics that we will be taking up for discussion have been tabulated on your screen. The time stamping for the same has been given in the comment section. There is a news on page number 15. Cabinet Committee okays rupees 50,000 crore infusion for MSME. MSME is a very important topic for economy section of GS paper 3. MSME pertains to many of the topics mentioned in the syllabus. It is extremely important for inclusive growth. It also pertains to growth, development, and employment mentioned in the syllabus. Cabinet actually has cleared many announcements that was made by the finance minister earlier during the announcement of Atmanirbhar package. And these are not the new, these are just clearance of the announcements that were already made. So you would be in know of most of them already. All in all, there are four announcements important for the exam. The most important one of them is rupees 50,000 crore equity infusion for MSMEs. This will help them to enhance their financial capacity and to overcome the problem of institutional credit that they are facing presently. This will also help them to get listed in the stock exchange. This is the most important thing, and we will also be discussing this despite this already being discussed in the previous TNS. There was also an announcement in the finance minister's Atmanirbhar package of stressed MSMEs to get rupees 20,000 crore of support in form of subordinate loan or unsecured loan, and this proposal also has been cleared yesterday. There has been change in the definition of MSME, which was already done during the Atmanirbhar package announcement, but again they have changed the definition of medium enterprises. I will inform you regarding this. And there is also a fourth important announcement that export revenue will be excluded while calculating the turnover. You would be aware that the definition of MSME now is based upon the investment and the turnover of the enterprise. But if the enterprise is doing export, then the export revenue will not be calculated for the turnover. This obviously is done to enable the enterprise to get the benefit of MSME. If the export turnover increases and that goes beyond the definition of MSME, that will be a disincentive for the enterprise to export, because if that does not fall within the definition of MSME, it won't be able to get the benefits that MSMEs enjoy. So this is basically done to encourage them to export without losing the benefits of MSME. The issues surrounding MSME and the announcement that the finance minister made regarding MSME in the Atmanirbhar package was discussed in detail in the DNS dated 14th May 2020 by Nagendra sir. This DNS is very important for MSME. MSME is very important for the exam. You must have a separate notes on MSME, because question on MSME I feel will be appearing in the coming mains exam. In this DNS, it was discussed with you the changed definition of MSME. Previously, MSME was defined differently for manufacturing and for services, but now there is a one combined definition based upon the investment and turnover. If the investment is less than 1 crore and the turnover is less than rupees 5 crore, the enterprise is defined as micro unit. Similarly, for a small unit, the investment should be less than 10 crore and turnover less than 50 crore. And then, when this definition was changed, the criteria for medium enterprise was the investment should be less than 20 crore and turnover less than 100 crore. Yesterday, this has been changed. The criteria for micro and small units remain the same, but for medium, the investment limit has been increased to less than 50 crore and turnover to less than 250 crore. This you must update in your notes. Apart from this change of investment to 50 crore and turnover to 250 crore, there is one important change as we have mentioned earlier. Turnover with respect to exports will not be counted in the limits of turnover for any category of MSME. This basically is done to encourage exports. MSME, as you would know, is facing difficulty in getting institutional credit. In this regard, this announcement is very important. It was announced by the finance minister, and yesterday cabinet has cleared that rupees 50,000 crore equity infusion through fund of funds. Let's understand this. Equity is the value of share that you are holding. Suppose I say that I hold 50% equity in MDH, or that would be too high. Let's say I hold 0.1% of equity in MDH. That means all the shares that I have bought of MDH, the combined value of that is equal to 0.1% of the worth of MDH. There are various ways in which you can earn the equity of a company. The simple way is to buy the shares. Where do you buy the share? In the share market. And how do you do that? By participating in the stock exchange. But you would understand that it is difficult for MSME to get listed in the stock exchanges because they have to fulfill all the guidelines by the SEBI, which is a very elaborate one. We will not get into it, but it requires many provisions of the Companies Act to be fulfilled. You need to have a board of directors, you need to do proper annual auditing, maintain the reports, and there are various elaborate criteria after fulfilling which you get eligible to get listed. So there are just handful of MSMEs registered on the stock exchange. However, there are special platforms in the stock exchanges of India. For example, Bombay Stock Exchange has a special platform for small and medium-sized enterprise. It is called as BSE SME. Similarly, National Stock Exchange has a special platform called as Emerge. But registration on these platforms is very meager. There are 6 crore registered MSME, and the numbers registered on these platforms would run only into hundreds. The reason why government is encouraging MSMEs to get listed on stock exchange is they are having problem in getting institutional credit from the banks. Economic Survey 2018 has highlighted that large businesses get around 83% of bank credit and MSMEs get only around 17% of the bank credit. So institutional credit dispersal is obviously skewed against the MSME. So for MSME to get viable, the other option is to participate in the share market. That means the MSME should give out its equity through shares. And that is why the government is trying to infuse money in equity of MSME. How? Through fund of funds. This is how fund of funds operate. There are alternative investment funds which buys the shares of startups or MSMEs for whichever purpose that alternative investment fund has been created. And there are many investors that pump in money in this alternative investment fund. One investor can be the government, and the money put into the alternative investment fund buys the shares of the MSMEs, and that's how the MSMEs can get the credit. So, this alternative investment fund is called the daughter fund, and the fund from which the government will be putting in the money into the daughter fund is called as the mother fund or the father fund, whatever. But since the government is not buying the shares directly, but rather putting the money in another fund, so this fund of the government will be called as fund of funds. Because from this fund, the government can be giving money to different alternative investment funds. So it is fund of funds. However, there is a concept of leverage ratio here. Suppose government gives rupees 100 crore, and if the leverage ratio is 1 is to 2, that means all the other investors combined investment has to be 200 crore. And if the leverage ratio is 1 is to 4, then the combined investment of all other investors has to be rupees 400 crore. Generally, in the startup fund, the leverage ratio is 1 is to 2. But in case of equity fund for MSME, government has kept the leverage ratio of 1 is to 4. So if the government spends rupees 10,000 crore, the other investors together have to invest rupees 40,000 crore in buying the shares of MSME. So that will add up to rupees 50,000 crore. And that is why in today's newspaper you must be reading that rupees 50,000 crore will be given in equity infusion. But the government side of money is just rupees 10,000 crore, as was announced previously. So, this is ultimately going to help in the sale of the share of MSME, and that ultimately is going to increase the value of the shares of MSME, and that is going to solve the problem of credit crunch of MSME. Recently, the stock exchanges also have reduced the listing fee, which is varying between 25,000 to 40,000 depending upon the stock exchange. That value is not important for us, but this is one of the steps that has been taken to encourage the listing of MSME, which you should keep in mind. So the story thus far is only this much. Now, what I'm going to tell is the recommendation of Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Mr. Nitin Gadkari has been giving good ideas in governance. And this idea of equity infusion for MSME was also of Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Mr. Nitin Gadkari yesterday also has suggested something else, which might be accepted by the government in near future. If not, then you can use this as recommendation in your answers. But hear this out. What has been suggested by the minister is government will buy the equity directly in the stock exchanges, maximum 15% of one MSME. So it will not be done through fund of funds, but government will be the direct investor in the share of MSME. If the government is investing in the shares of MSME directly, then naturally the value of share of the MSME will increase. And when it reaches a particular level, the government will sell the shares to somebody else because other people will now be willing to buy the share of this particular MSME. And now the government can buy the share of other MSME, and the same process can be continued. So it will be a revolving fund. Government will buy the share and then sell the share, then buy the share of other MSME and sell the share, then buy the share of other MSME and sell the share. It will be a kind of revolving fund, and the entire ecosystem of MSME can actually benefit from this. But this is just a proposal, but it's a very good proposal. You can use this in your answers regarding MSME credit crunch problems. But for this to happen, there is one important step that needs to be taken, and government has already initiated this. The credit rating system of MSME. Once you have this in place, then there will be more clarity as to whose share one can buy, and that will give clarity to private investors as well. You should be aware of the recent announcements made by the government and especially by the finance minister during her Atmanirbhar package announcement for the MSME. You should have a list of that and you should contest that because that is extremely important for the coming mains. I'll just give you few of them, hoping that you have the list of the recent steps taken by the government for MSME. Government has announced rupees 3 lakh crore collateral free assistance or sovereign credit guarantee to MSME, meaning if MSMEs could not pay to the bank, the government will pay to the bank. That is sovereign credit guarantee. Then government also has eased the global tendering norm. Government has disallowed global tenders up to rupees 200 crore, and this is done in favor of MSMEs so that they don't have to compete with foreign companies for government procurement tenders. And this will help MSMEs to get orders for defense, police department uniforms, and other equipments, etc. etc. There also has been an announcement of 2% interest subvention on loans up to rupees 50,000 secured by small businesses under the Mudras scheme Shishu category. Then for introduction to an answer concerning any question on MSME, you should have few pointers on your hand ready. For instance, there are around 6 crores MSMEs in India. They contribute to around 48% of country's merchandise export. They are capable of creating around 11 crore jobs. In MSMEs, nearly 14% are women-led and 60% are based in rural areas. So it's important for balanced regional growth. MSMEs accounts for around 30% of India's GDP. Somewhere you'll get 29%, somewhere 30, somewhere 32, somewhere 33. You just write around 30%. Similarly, the data on export you will find different in different websites. That's all concerning MSME in today's newspaper. These are not as such new announcements. You just have to update your previous notes on MSME with the information that I have given you today. This news is from page number 15 and it says that government is considering non-profit organizations to get listed on social stock exchanges. Social stock exchange was announced by the finance minister in the last budget and it is aimed at enabling the NGOs to raise capital to meet their expenses. Social organizations, trusts and societies, they do very important work, but they are not profit oriented. So they cannot pay high returns on the investors. and hence they are mostly dependent on donations and grants. But social stock exchange is aimed at developing a market mechanism for social sector enterprises to mobilize their own resources. We will discuss in a short while how that will happen. This news has appeared in the newspaper because Ishat Hussain Committee has submitted its recommendation to SEBI. It was a committee appointed by SEBI to recommend the various modalities related to the working of social stock exchanges. The fundamental design of social stock exchanges would be the same as general stock exchanges. We will have various groups that seek to raise fund, and we will have various investors that will provide the capital. But the groups that will be participating in the investor and the motive of transaction will be different. The transactions in normal stock exchange are driven by profit motive. Various enterprise tries to raise capital to do economic activity with the sole motive of profit. And various investors provide capital with the agenda of getting the highest possible return. But in the social stock exchange, the participants will be non profit organizations. Organizations which are registered as societies and trusts, and also Section 8 companies. Section 8 companies are those which are registered under Section 8 of Companies Act. They are also non profit organizations, but they have higher financial reporting obligations. And all of them work mostly for impact investment. Impact investments are those investments which creates greater impact in the society, which creates some social goods, some common good, and the operation is for the welfare of all. They work in extremely important areas like health, education, water conservation, sanitation, afforestation, climate change, and these are not profit oriented operations. So they can barely give higher return. So they cannot go through the normal route of issuing shares and bond. So a special mechanism has to be developed for social stock exchanges. For example, zero coupon, zero principal bonds. This instrument is in function in many countries, and this can be made operational for social stock exchange in India as well. Zero coupon, you understand, means zero interest rate. So the investor will not get any interest, and zero principal means the principal will also not be given back. Effectively, nothing will be given back. You give the money and you forget, but you will have the satisfaction that you have done an impact investment. So that is basically the return that you have. Then another instrument, social venture funds, can also be developed. Social venture funds operates like normal venture fund, but normal venture funds are low risk and reward driven. Social venture funds are not reward driven, rather they will provide investment for social ventures which are operating in high impact areas. Similarly, mutual fund units can also be used to raise money. These will function just like normal mutual fund, but the return on the investment of mutual fund will not go to the investor, rather that will go for impact investment by these societies and trusts listed on the social stock exchange. So you will get your principal money back, but you will not get the return on your investment. The question is, who will be interested in this kind of investment? The answer is pretty simple, the one who is not guided by high financial return on investment. For instance, companies with CSR obligation could be one candidate. Philanthropic organizations will be the most suitable candidate for this kind of investment. Money can come from individuals, from groups, from domestic market, from international market. It could come through FCRA contributions as well. So far, the idea was that participants to raise the capital through social stock exchange would be non-profit organizations, societies and trusts, and Section 8 companies, which are also non-profit organization. But as we have just read the headline of the news, government is now considering that for-profit organization with some social impact can also be allowed to get listed on social stock exchange. So that's what is new. Social stock exchanges is not a new concept. They have been working very robustly in UK and in Canada, but the first social stock exchange was in Brazil. The Brazil Socio-Environmental Impact Exchange was the first social stock exchange in the world. There are around 3 million non-profit organizations registered in India, and they mostly depend on donations and grants from individuals, philanthropic organizations, national government, and from the international groups. But in the context of open economy, when government is getting out even from social services and the expenditure on social sector is very less, there is an urgent requirement to create market mechanism for resource mobilization for these social sector enterprises. And that is essential if we have to meet the SDG goals. It will be a daunting task to get our society back to normal post COVID-19 pandemic, and government's effort alone will not be sufficient for this. So the idea of social stock exchange has come just at the right time in India. This news is from page number 14. It says Google rejects Australia's call for payout. The news is related to an issue that we covered in the DNS dated 1st May 2020. Here we covered the issue of news aggregators. If you go to the tab of Google News, you can read various domestic and international news. But Google does not have its own media arm. It basically collects the news from various news publishers and put it together on its own platform. The same goes for other web pages like InShots. InShots put the news summary on its website and gives the link of the original news publisher. The issue is that these news aggregators are eating into the profits of news publishers, and free independent journalism is at threat. And by extension, freedom to free speech is also under threat. So, this is a big issue for any democracy. This article covers the news that Google is defying the antitrust regulation imposed by the Australian government. Google has refused to share the revenue associated with news based advertisement with the local news agencies in Australia. Google has said that A, we are not making so much of money that you are asking us to share with local news agencies in Australia, and B, we are directing many users to go to the web pages of many original news publishers. So we are increasing their traffic. So you should say thank you instead of asking for more money. That's the stand that Google has taken, and we have already understood the issue of news aggregator in the DNS of 1st of May. Here what we will do, we will understand this term antitrust regulation. Here what we will do, we will have a discussion on this phrase antitrust regulation or antitrust legislation as Australian government is proposing to bring. Trust here basically means company, enterprise, large companies. Antitrust legislation or regulation will intend to regulate the uncompetitive behavior of large enterprises that may result in monopoly, and especially in the digital space that is emerging to be the case. Antitrust regulations are primarily to deter a trust, a large business house, from adopting steps to stifle competition. They are basically restraints put by the state to check the overarching power of private businesses that seek to monopolize and control the market. It can be done in various ways. One way is to increase the taxes, or to have labor regulations, data protection regulations, regulations against data snooping, and other regulatory methods can also be adopted. For instance, what Australian government is trying to do is forcing Google to share the revenue out of the advertisements. Antitrust regulation is not a new thing. It is there since after the Industrial Revolution. But it is new to the digital space, and still this has not been developed properly through legislation in the digital space. So far, it was thought that everything is okay as long as the consumers do not have to suffer directly by paying higher prices. So, consumer protection was the focus of antitrust regulation in digital space. But now it's changing. And you would remember at the time of the debate of net neutrality, the consumer was actually seen to be benefiting. That was the argument of Facebook, at least. So, antitrust regulations have evolved in the digital space also, and the world is moving forward to tighten it more through legislations. Antitrust regulation in this case will be required even more due to the advent of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, big data, virtual reality. The power and influence of digital technology companies is going to increase exorbitantly. And hence it becomes necessary to ensure privacy protection, to check the social media influencing by these companies, opinion formation, election engineering, and issues like that. You would be aware that various antitrust regulations have been tried on these digital giants, and there have been many cases that necessitate such a regulation. For instance, back in February 2019, Facebook was taken to task by many countries for their alleged consumer privacy issues, unauthorized data leak, influence on consumers, including their voting behavior in the US election, and shaping public discourse. There also have been questions on acquisitions done by Facebook to preempt any competition that it might face. For instance, acquisition of WhatsApp by the Facebook. Facebook also acquired a digital analysis firm called as Onavo back in 2013. And this digital analysis firm allegedly helped Facebook to identify its competitors and outcompete them by having access to data. The US Department of Justice is preparing to launch antitrust proceedings against Google. Google have many allegations. One of the allegations is that it gives advantage to certain advertisements in its advertising space. It also has allegation that it is sending users to its own platform like Google Flights, Google Maps, etc. It is also alleged that Google is biased over publishing some news in favor of some political ideology and restricting others. Amazon also has allegations of uncompetitive behavior. It is alleged that Amazon favor its self-branded product over any third-party seller. Many of the acquisitions made by Amazon is seen as anti-competitive. Apple also seems to favor its own product in Apple Store, and questions are also raised as to how Apple determine its revenue sharing with other applications on the Apple Store. It seems to be biased towards certain products. These are some of the examples that you can use for supporting antitrust regulation in the digital space. What is the situation in India? In the pre liberalization era, antitrust regulation in India was confined to curbing monopolization, and this was done through Monopolistic and Restrictive Trade Practices 1969. And after liberalization, antitrust laws in India had to focus on promoting competition to promote investment, and this was done through Competition Act 2002. But there is no proper legislation yet for antitrust regulation in the digital space. Having one of the highest online user in the world, this is an area that India must consider very seriously. There is an article on page number 7 written by Gopal Krishnan Gandhi, and he has tried to explore the idea of prediction of earthquake. Prediction of earthquake has not been developed as a science yet. And prediction of earthquake mostly is done by hit and trial method, but those methods cannot be used to forecast any earthquake. However, serious research work is going on this, but since there is no established science on this, so we will not be taking up discussion as such. But the relevant content regarding the prediction of earthquake I'll be adding in the PDF and you can read it from there. Okay, boys and girls, time for quiz. I'll ask you the question, you tell me answers, preferably without looking at the screen, or maybe I'll give you the answer and you tell me what the question was. Let's begin. The question is, what is the turnover limit of medium-sized enterprise under the new MSME classification? The answer is rupees 250 crore. New MSME classification has same parameter for service and manufacturing MSME. True or false? True, of course, true. Export revenue will be excluded while calculating the turnover for MSME. True or false? True. You would be knowing that Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange has a special platform for small and mid-sized enterprises. What is the name of the special platform for National Stock Exchange? The answer is NSE Emerge. Again, I'm giving you a statement, you tell me true or false. MSME gets almost half of the institutional credit, the credit from the banks. It's a false statement because Economic Survey has illuminated us with the fact that only around 17% of the institutional credit goes to MSME, rest taken by large business houses. Majority of the MSME are rural based. True or false? It's true because around 60% of MSME are rural based. Majority of countries export comes from MSME. True or false? That's false because around 48% of countries export comes from MSME. Comes from MSME. MSME contributes only around 10% to India's GDP. True or false? That's false because GVA, gross value addition, comes around 29%. 29% to 32%, the data will vary, but you say that it's around 30% in your answers. Which committee was appointed by SEBI to recommend the various modalities related to the working of social stock exchanges? Name the person who headed that committee. It was headed by Mr. Ishat Hussain. Mr. Ishat Hussain was the director in Tata Group. Now listen to this. Social stock exchange has been introduced in the budget 2020-21 for the first time in the world in India. That is absolutely incorrect statement. Then the question is which country introduced social stock exchange for the first time? The answer is Brazil. Brazil's socio-environmental impact exchange was the first social stock exchange of the world. If the answer is Monopolistic and Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969, then can you tell me what was the question? There is a news in today's newspaper that minimum support price for 14 kharif crops increased by 50 to 83%. Let's try solving this question from 2013 prelims paper. Consider the following crops: cotton, groundnut, rice, wheat. Which of these are kharif crops? You would know this by birth that wheat is a rabi crop. So you eliminate options having wheat and you will be left with two options, and you would also be knowing this that cotton is a kharif crop. So you will reach easily to option C. Confusion of groundnut, even if you have, that will still not be a hindrance in solving this question. Groundnut indeed is a kharif crop. Some of the common kharif crops are paddy, rice, jowar, bajra, maize, ragi, arhar or tur, moong, urad, cotton, groundnut, sunflower seeds, soya bean black. These all are kharif crops. The common rabi crops are wheat, barley, gram, masoor, rapeseed, mustard. You must also know that MSP is fixed on the recommendation of Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. Generally, the recommendation is taken as it is, but the final authority to finally decide on the MSP level is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So, if the question is which is the body that decides MSP in India, that is not Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices, that is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. There's a small news somewhere in today's newspaper that COVID 19 strikes Bru refugee camp in Tripura. Bru is a tribe from Mizoram. They were pushed out of Mizoram in 1997 and they have been living in camps in Tripura. They are native of Mizoram but they are also found in Tripura and Assam. In Tripura, they are also recognized as particularly vulnerable tribal group. And recently, four corner agreement was signed among the Government of India, Government of Mizoram, Government of Tripura, and Mizoram Bru Displaced Peoples Forum. As per this agreement, the Government of India will take up the expenses of rehabilitation of Bru tribe back to Mizoram, and Government of Mizoram will provide protection to the incoming tribes. And the Bru, which are also called as Riang tribe, they will be identified based upon the electoral roll of 1997. People having names in the electoral roll, they will be allowed to come back. And one time rehabilitation help will be given by the Government of India of the tune of 4 lakh rupees per family. But then there was opposition from many of the tribes in Mizoram, and full rehabilitation has not yet happened. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. Now let's take up question for the day. Yesterday's question was which one of the following is not an objective of Manrega? Providing up to 100 days of skilled labor in a financial year. Well, all of us know this is not a skilled job. This is unskilled job actually. So option A is incorrect. If you read other options, creation of productive asset, enhancing livelihood security, and ensuring empowerment to women, all of them are correct. And in fact, recently, more than 50% of mandates have been given to women under Manrega. The question of the day is, which of the following can be characteristics of proposed social stock exchange? Issue of zero coupon, zero principal bond, regulation by Home Ministry instead of SEBI, no participation by for profit organizations. Your options are 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, or all of the above.